I mentioned in Module 1 that we had a different programming model on the web. And we had the browser, for example, that communicated with the web server. And it did it very efficiently with lightweight protocol called HTTP. So we're going to dive a little bit into having the browser communicate with the web server. And you're going to learn how you can fire functions in the web server just by changing the URL that you send. That you can fire off either this function or this function or this function. And we call those routes. So you'll begin to understand how to control a remote web server from, for example, your browser. Now, why is that important? Well, if I can put a web server, say, in a camera, perhaps in Hong Kong or Tokyo, I can control that camera because I can send a command to it so that it fires a particular function. For example, pan left or zoom in or take a photograph. I can also send a command saying, send me back the data. So you'll see that this is a powerful mechanism. The web server is more than just serving up web pages. It's kind of the gateway. So we can have web servers talking to web servers. I needn't control the camera from my browser. I might want to control it from another web server. So I might send the commands to the web server that will automatically make contact with the web server in the camera. So we can build up quite powerful systems just with this technology. Now, the second thing that we're going to look at in Module 2 are the libraries that have evolved based on JavaScript and Node.js. You're going to learn about the power of Node.js, that it basically is a task manager that can spin off what we call asynchronous tasks. So you'll learn about asynchronous computing because it's a very different style to synchronous computing. And today, almost everything in the cloud is asynchronous. Not everything, but the actual architectures are across machines, and almost by definition, the communications involve messages, and those messages are asynchronous. And so we're into a much more complex environment than the old style synchronous programming that we were brought up on. So this is what we're going to cover in Module 2. And we're going to dive into some of these things in detail so that you understand the basic building blocks that we're going to be using. We'll also be looking at one of the tools. We'll be looking at GitHub, which is a tool for managing code, and which is kind of the gateway into the whole DevOps operations, which we'll talk about later. So let's enjoy Module 2 and learn a little bit more about the basic technologies behind the cloud.